It was the kind of cold, heavy rain that makes even the most hardened souls quicken their steps. Drivers squinted through blurry windshields, and pedestrians huddled under umbrellas like fragile shells. But on that stormy evening, no one expected a wet, shivering dog to bring the city traffic, and a team of first responders, to a halt. Paramedic Rachel Carter had been working double shifts all week. With short staffing and an endless stream of calls, there had been little time for rest. She sat in the passenger seat of the ambulance, sipping lukewarm coffee and hoping for a quiet hour. Beside her, her partner Marcus, an ex-army medic with a heart bigger than his biceps, tapped at the steering wheel to some classic rock humming low on the radio. The radio crackled suddenly, breaking their brief silence. Unit 5, emergency call at Grand and 16th. Unresponsive elderly male, possible stroke. Proceed immediately. Marcus flipped the lights on. Rachel tossed her cup aside and secured her kit. Let's go. They sped through the rain-slick streets. As they neared Grand Avenue, something unexpected blocked their path. A golden retriever, soaked to the bone, stood in the middle of the road, barking frantically at the ambulance, refusing to move. Marcus hit the brakes hard. What the hell? Rachel leaned forward. Is that dog trying to stop us? Marcus tried honking. Nothing. The dog stood its ground, barking louder, tail wagging, not in joy, but urgency. It would dart toward the sidewalk, then back again, as if begging them to follow. Rachel unbuckled. I think he wants us to follow him. Marcus gave her a look. We have a call. We can't chase dogs. But Rachel was already out the door, squinting through the downpour. The dog noticed and immediately started trotting down a narrow alley to the left, barking over its shoulder. It didn't take more than a moment's hesitation before Marcus sighed and followed with the ambulance, headlights crawling behind. They followed the dog for a block, then two, winding through a maze of residential streets. Finally, the retriever stopped at a crumbling house at the edge of a wooded lot, whining and pawing at the door. Rachel rushed ahead and knocked hard. No response. She tried the handle, it gave way. Inside, the smell hit first, mold, old wood, something faintly metallic. Then came the silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears, suffocating. The dog darted inside and immediately ran to a collapsed figure on the living room floor. An elderly man, maybe in his late 70s, lay motionless, a spilled bowl of soup beside him. His face was pale, lips tinged blue. Rachel dropped to her knees, checking his pulse. Faint. He's alive, she called. Marcus was already unrolling the stretcher. We need to move, now. Working quickly, they stabilized him, checking vitals and oxygen. The dog circled them the entire time, whining, nudging the man's hand with its nose. It wouldn't leave his side. As they carried him to the ambulance, the dog tried to follow them in. Marcus gently held it back. Easy, buddy. We'll take care of him. Rachel looked at the dog, who was now barking at the back door of the ambulance as it closed. Her voice caught. We can't leave him. Marcus hesitated. Protocol. Screw protocol. She opened the door and lifted the retriever inside. The dog immediately lay down next to the stretcher, pressing its wet head against the man's chest. At the hospital, staff flooded in to take over. Doctors confirmed the man had suffered a massive stroke and might not have survived another hour alone. Rachel stayed close as the man was wheeled away. The dog sat quietly in a corner of the emergency room, soaked and shivering, eyes never leaving the room his owner was taken into. The hospital security asked about the dog. Rachel stepped in. He saved the man's life. He stays. Over the next few days, they learned more. The man's name was Henry Blake, a retired teacher and widower. He had no family, no emergency contacts, only his dog, Cooper. They had lived alone for over 10 years, neighbors said. He walked Cooper every morning, rain or shine, and often talked to him as if he were human. When Henry woke 3 days later, his first words were hoarse and barely audible, "Where's my boy?" Rachel was there when they brought Cooper in. The moment the dog saw Henry awake, his whole body trembled with joy. He whimpered, tail thumping wildly, and leapt into Henry's bed, licking his hand gently. Henry cried. So did Rachel. The story spread like wildfire. News outlets ran with it. Hero dog stops ambulance, saves owner's life. Interviews, donations, letters from children, all poured in. But what touched Rachel most wasn't the fame. It was what Henry told her one evening, a week into his recovery. "I was ready to go," he whispered, gazing at the ceiling. "I thought I'd be found days later, just another lonely old man. But Cooper, he didn't let me die alone. He refused." Rachel smiled, gripping his hand. "He saved you." Henry nodded slowly. "He gave me a second chance. Maybe not just at life, but at being seen." Marcus, standing by the doorway, cleared his throat and said, "We've seen you, Mr. Blake. The world has." Rachel and Marcus started visiting often after that. Cooper became a therapy dog for the hospital, bringing joy to patients. Rachel, once overworked and emotionally burnt out, found herself reconnecting with the reason she became a medic in the first place. She even began fostering senior dogs with no homes, Cooper's crew, she called them. Months later, Henry walked again with assistance. Not far, just up and down the hospital garden path. But Cooper was always there, trotting beside him, step for step. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the clouds and the last light scattered gold across the trees, Henry sat beside Rachel. "I used to believe we only get one great love in life," he said softly. "But I've realized love doesn't always come in grand gestures or perfect people. Sometimes, it comes in fur. In loyalty. In a bark that stops an ambulance." She chuckled, blinking back tears. "And sometimes it comes in the form of a stubborn paramedic who breaks the rules." They watched Cooper chase butterflies along the grass, carefree. Henry looked up at the sky, then at Rachel. "Promise me something. Anything. When I go, whenever that is, don't let Cooper be alone." Rachel swallowed hard. "He won't be. I promise." Henry passed away peacefully 2 years later, in his sleep, with Cooper curled up beside him. Cooper lived another year, growing slower with time but still visiting the hospital, still bringing light. When he passed, Rachel buried him beside Henry under a tall oak tree near the hospital garden. She placed a plaque that read, "Here lie Henry and Cooper. A man and his dog. Bound by love, reunited in peace." People from all over the city came to pay respects. Some brought flowers. Others brought their dogs. Children read letters aloud, thanking Cooper for being a hero. And Rachel stood quietly among them, feeling the fullness of life and the fragility of it all. She had started that rainy night tired, overwhelmed, just trying to survive another shift. But a dog in the road changed everything. Sometimes, it's not the loudest cries that ask for help. Sometimes, it's a bark in the rain. And when you listen, you just might save more than one life. You might find your own.